Demystifying assessment and development centers. I introduced assessment centers sometime in India in the year 1975. I actually learned about assessment centers from a book which one of my friends, who is no more, Manohar S. Nadkarni, got with him from US when he landed up in India in the year 1970-71 after working for long years with David McClellan. I read this book and was very fascinated with the experiments done at AT&T and actually used assessment center on my own with Parishram when they were recruiting project leaders for the Entrepreneurship Development Center run by GIC, GIDC, GSFC and GSIC. Since then I have struggled hard to introduce this, but not until about 83-84 these centers picked up in India in small way and post-liberalization in a big way. Nowadays many companies are doing assessment centers and they call them ADCs, or Assessment and Development Centers, a term which TVRLS introduced in the market almost about 10 years ago. In fact, we ran annual conferences on 360 feedback assessment centers and competency mapping and so on. Now, we also ran a number of programs, over about 2 dozens of programs on demystifying assessment and development centers. And we introduced it in a big way. In fact, at the Academy of HRD, we also introduced assessment centers, and my colleague and one-time director, Dr. Sethumadhavan, started IOAC as a kind of a forum, Individual and Organizational Assessment Center. These are the concepts that we have promoted. Now in this video, I would like to say a few things about some of the problems and issues with assessment centers. I think the first problem is still a weak research base that we have on assessment and development center. A number of researches have been conducted and they are mostly in other countries and not in India. India is very weak in research. So there is no research evidence to show that assessment and development centers are good predictors of success in the jobs that have not been performed so far. Because ADCs came mainly to predict future success on jobs which people are yet to perform. Number two, whatever research evidence is available does not indicate that the predictive validity is in any case beyond 0.60. That means in a crude way we can say 60% chance. In reality it is even less than 40%. Now 40% is not a bad chance. If there is a 40% of success that a person selected using ADCs is good, because a person selected without using ADCs may show only about 10% chance of being likely to be successful. In India, of course, the success in any given job does not merely depend on your capabilities. You may have been very successful in terms of your performance in assessment center and might possess all the qualities required to perform a particular kind of a job. But once you are placed in that position, there is no guarantee that you will succeed, for the simple reason that your boss has not been selected using the same type of assessment and development center, and there is no guarantee that your boss will not be one of the significant factors in terms of your success. So is the question of your juniors. You are the only one selected using assessment development center, but neither your juniors, nor your seniors, nor your colleagues, then I think the selection is already set for a chance failure. So you cannot blame assessment and development centers for not having a very high predictive validity. The other factor that prevents using good use of assessment and development centers is the problem associated with the time and cost. Assessment and development centers are expensive because each assessment development center can normally take about 12 to 15 candidates and requires about 4 to 5 assessors for 15 candidates and at least 2 days of time and multiple tests. After all this kind of an effort, which costs you quite a lot, because time of all 15 of you for 2 days, about 30 days, and 4 consultants who will not only work for those 2 days but later another week or 10 days to document, identify your developmental plans, process your tests and things of that kind. That means almost about 4 multiplied by 5 about 20 days time, and 15 multiplied by 2 50 days time, and ultimately after 50 man days of experience and experimentation and testing, you will get out of these 15 people 2 or 3 people selected, and the remaining people quite often remain disgruntled and very upset about the whole kind of a process. Now you can see what are the kind of consequences of even a well conducted assessment and development center. Now why am I saying all this? For the simple reason that it is high time that behavioral scientists, HRD people, management scientists begin to experiment and discover new methods of identifying potential, new methods of identifying and assessing talent of people. We at TVRLS are struggling hard, putting years of experience behind this and trying to see if we can come up with a new method. At this point of time, I don't want to say that we have been successful, but one thing I must confidently say is that using behavior event interview and using some psychometric tests, we are able to at least help people to identify their competencies with reasonable kind of an objectivity. That is how we started a new method called as CBII, or competency based interviews, and BBII, behavior incident based inventory, behavior, biographic behavior incident based inventory, and so on. These are actually application blanks or career history forms written to assess the competencies of people, followed by interviews. So we think just with the combination of these two and with adding to this psychometric tests, I think will be a good way of assessing. So we are trying our best to simplify the entire assessment center methodology and make the companies at least feel some excitement out of it. In addition, we continue to research, we continue to struggle hard in terms of finding out ways. One of the things we have discovered across a large number of years is that there is one particular competence which seems to cut across all success in terms of all other kind of jobs, and all cuts across all competencies that are required. I will not share about this competency at some appropriate point of time. I will be sharing more about this competency and so on. So those of you who are going through assessment centers, if you are a researcher, I hope you will do some research. If you are a practitioner, I hope you will be careful in terms of looking at the assessment centers, the amount of work that goes on, and the kind of things that are, the kind of reports that are given to you and so on. So all the best from TVRLS to those of you who are involved in these assessment centers as tools of identifying talent. Thank you and best.